Does your quality assurance program give you flowers? My name is Ralph Peterson, and I am a quality assurance and performance improvement consultant helping senior care centers all over the country improve quality outcomes by looking at their processes. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how this single little fake flower made a huge impact on a couple of our key processes in a nursing home that we were working with. It all started with a housekeeping manager. Let me back up and say that one of the big challenges in long-term care or in assisted livings is how does housekeeping notify the nursing department that a room has been cleaned? Or in this case, how do we let them know that a room has been disinfected and cleaned, like deep cleaned, for an admission? We're talking specifically about admissions. And we've done all kinds of things, from having like the little cue card, having a checklist, to even changing the tag, the name tag on the door. You can slide in the person's name. I'd even seen centers where we slid in room deep cleaned and then put the date on the little tag. It's kind of like a non-evasive way of letting somebody know. Well, I had a housekeeping manager who came into our QAPI meeting one day, and she had a whole bouquet of fake flowers. And she said, "We have tons of these downstairs in a closet, and nobody ever uses them for anything." And she wondered, can she start using these flowers in the resident rooms for notifying nurses that the room has been deep cleaned for an admission? And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I would like to do, instead of using a little note card, instead of putting a little thing in the name tag, I would like to take one of our vases, and we have 8 million vases, we have 5,000 of these fake flowers. I would like to put a flower when we're done with the resident room, deep cleaning that resident room for the admission. I'd like to put the vase on the overbed table, so that way nursing knows that the room has been deep cleaned and is ready for the admission." I was like, well, that sounds pretty brilliant. And so that's what we started to do. We started to implement this process of adding a flower to a vase on the overbed table as an indicator for nursing to know. And by the way, there's a huge lesson here when it comes to following up or knowing when something is done or not done. The big question becomes, how do you know? As a manager, how do you know if something has been done or not done? And honestly, there are only two really unique ways of doing it. One, you can ask, "Hey, did you get that done?" Or you can go look. You can ask or you can go look. And by implementing this flower program, it does both. It allows, or it makes the asking and the looking super easy, because now the nurse manager on the unit does not need to go track down the housekeeper, doesn't have to go track down the housekeeping manager. All they have to do is pop their head into the room. Look, is there a vase with a flower in it on the overbed table? If the answer is yes, then we know the room has been deep cleaned and is ready for the admission. That makes it super easy for the nurse manager to be able to know that just by looking. So great. It's like having a checklist behind the nurse's station on, like showers. Like, how do you know we're supposed to give 10 showers today? How do you know? Well, if we have a list behind the nurse's station and the person giving showers is checking off the list, the nurse manager can just go, "Oh, we've got 3 showers done. Oh, we've got 8 showers done." They can easily see that. They don't have to ask. Right? It's a visual instead of a verbal, which is a lot easier for most managers. It's a lot more effective too, just be able to identify what's done or not done. Of course, when we're talking about an admission, you know and I know, housekeeping is not the only department that is necessary to go into a room and do stuff to make sure it's ready for admission. We have activities needs to go in and hang the activity calendar. We need dietary to go in and hang up the dietary calendar. We have maintenance needs to go in and make sure the equipment is right, or that the dresser is working, that the PTAC unit is all good. Like, there's maintenance needs to be involved, dietary needs to be involved, activities needs to be involved. And before long, we're like, okay, so what if housekeeping got a red rose and maintenance got this flower, I don't know what this is called, or somebody gets the think I had like a tulip here or something. Oh, yeah, a little daisy, right? Like, what if we gave the 3, 4, 5 departments that need to be in and out of that room prior to the admission? What if we gave them all a flower? And then we put them all in the vases so that then the nurse could easily say, okay, now I see that everybody has been here. Well, that got a little messy, I will tell you. It got a little messy. And not everybody liked to be in the flower game. Maintenance didn't like being in the flower game. Dietary didn't always have to be in the room. And so it was always just a little bit more confusing. But housekeeping still loved the flower, and quite frankly, it was always a nice little touch to have a little flower and a little vase on the overbed table, especially when the new admission got there. And then somebody started to add, and I'm not sure exactly who, it might have been either activities or maybe even the admission coordinator. Somebody started to add a card, like a little welcome card, to the table. So now you have the vase with a little fake rose in it and a little card with the resident's name standing up on it, and it's welcome to the center. What a wonderful little card that is. Well, a couple of months goes by, and we are having our quarterly all hands on deck QAPI meeting. And we start talking about the question of how do you build relationships with residents? And this is a question that comes out of the Quality Award Program for the Silver and the Gold Quality Award Program. If you're interested in the Quality Award Program, this is a question you're going to have to wrestle with. Like, how do you intentionally, proactively build relationships with your residents? The question's going to go further to how do you build relationships with your staff and with your family members and with your hospitals and, all of your customers, suppliers, partners, collaborators. But in this case, we're just talking about how do you build relationships with your residents, new residents specifically. And although there are all kinds of ways, from having parties and, being attentive and always being available, we recognized in that QAPI meeting that there is a starting date. That initial meeting, when the resident first gets there, we have a 72-hour meeting. And that 72-hour meeting, that's care plans, likes and dislikes. Honestly, it's a dislikes list, not a likes list for dietary. Any restrictions, you're meeting with the clinical team. Maybe you're meeting with activities. You're meeting with social services. You're probably getting, here's the administrator's phone number. Here's the DON's phone number. This is the corporate compliance hotline. This is how you fill out a grievance. This is the ombudsman's phone number. But that's not exactly how do you get on the right foot building a relationship with a customer. And so as we talked about it more and more, somebody came up with the question, is it important when you're building a relationship with a brand new admission, a new customer, resident? Is it helpful? Is it important that the customer meet all of the department heads, all the managers? And overwhelmingly, the answer was yes. There were a couple of naysayers. There were a couple of people like, I don't know why I need to meet him. I don't know why I would need to meet him. But overwhelmingly, we all agreed that it is ideal to have all of our department heads go to the new admissions room shortly after they get there and introduce themselves. Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm from admissions. Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm from maintenance. Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm from dietary. I wear all the hats. Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm from housekeeping. I wear everything. Wouldn't that be a great way of starting the relationship off well with the new admission, especially if you're able to go, hi, I'm Ralph. I work in housekeeping. Just so you know, we clean your room this many times a day. We do a deep clean once a month. If there's ever any issues, we're also responsible for the supplies, the linen, the paper towel, the toilet paper, the hand soaps. If you're ever out of any of that, this is how to get a hold of us. You can just, our housekeepers are here from this time to that time, right? Like if it's dietary, it's like, hey, this is the time that your meals are coming up. You can eat in your room or you can't eat in your room. You have to eat in the dining room. If you don't like the meal, there's always an alternative. We do a special meal for birthdays. We take requests this way. We have a dining committee that you can be involved in if you'd like. If you have any recipes you'd like to share with us, right? Like those are great ways of establishing your leadership team and introducing them to the new admission. And quite frankly, building a great relationship. Well, although we all agreed that that is fantastic and that we all will do it, there was a couple of things that stood out as problems quite quickly. Number one, we said within 24 hours, and sometimes it's just not possible to get every department head to meet every new admission within 24 hours. So we had to expand that to 48 hours, but we didn't want to go much past 48 hours. And the rumor mill started quite fast, as you can imagine, where we started to hear scuttlebutt about somebody, what this department head or that department head never goes and introduces themselves. This department head's really good about it. That department's not really good about it. This department head sometimes goes. This department head never goes. And so we started to think about, all right, from a process point of view, and again, when you're talking about trying to ensure if something is done, there's only two things you can do. You can ask or you can look, right? And so when you ask, I mean, what are you going to get from people who don't want to go introduce themselves, don't think it's worth it, don't think they should be doing it, doesn't think it makes a hill of beans of a difference? And if you go and ask them, hey, are you doing it? What's the likelihood they're going to be honest with you? You know, who knows? So, probably 50-50, right? Some people will be honest, like, I just don't believe it, and I'm not going to waste my time. And then there are others who will be like, yeah, no, I do it all the time, even though they don't, right? And so we took the flower idea to the next level, and we said, you know what, if it is important to us as an organization, and indeed it is, that we establish and start building meaningful relationships with our residents right off the bat. And if we also agree that having them introduce themselves, all the department heads introduce themselves to all of the residents, is a impactful way and does put us all on a really good footing and something that we really want to do as an organization, then we should come up with a way of making sure that everybody, all the department heads, are indeed participating in this little ruse of ours to build relationships with our residents. And that's where it comes in all of these flowers. What we started to do was we started to assign flower types and colors to different departments. Like a housekeeping gets a red flower, nursing gets a white flower, or a red rose or white rose. Somebody's going to get the tulip. Somebody's going to get the daisy. And we realized quite quickly that we don't have 10 different kinds of flowers, 12 different kinds of flowers, even though we have 12 department heads. And so all of a sudden we're like, okay, we can't give everybody individual flowers. And we're not going to go buy flowers because we already have them, so we're just going to use the flowers that we have. And so we started to add a tag. I don't have a tag on this one, but we started to add a tag to the flowers. And the tag would be maintenance or activities or dietary or housekeeping or nursing, right? Like everybody had the flower with a tag on it. And so now we went from a small vase to a large vase, and the department heads, when they would go and introduce themselves to the new admission, they would add their flower to the vase, and now the nurse manager can just simply look in and see who showed up and who didn't. And then at morning meeting, the administrator would ask the department head, whichever unit they were on, like say they were on second floor, say the second floor unit manager, hey, did everybody meet that new admit? And that manager would go, everybody except for maintenance. And maintenance would be like, I know, I'm getting up there, right? But it was a great way of making it so that we can now just visually look. It's a great way of communicating. And guess what? The residents absolutely loved it. They loved getting the bouquet of flowers. They loved the meaningful everybody going in and dropping off their flower. It became this really wonderful way of embracing both leadership and customer service, like this great marriage of leadership and customer service just by this flower implementation. We had a bunch of flowers, old fake flowers in a closet somewhere that we have been able to utilize that really, really help us build relationships with our customers. This is just a first step in many, and we're not going to have time to get into it all on this one video, but there's a lot more things that we did with this flower in this process because it uncovered so many things. Like not everybody knew what to say when they went and introduced themselves, or what they should be talking about, or what gap of information that they can help the new admission know about. Like, anyway, I hope you found this helpful. If you did find this helpful, and if you want to figure out how you can take your quality assurance program to the next step, reach out. I'd love to help.